Hey, what's going, y'all? It is yours truly once again. Now, when I think about just life and that, in many ways, in this life, some people are going to leave you and there's nothing you can do about it. See, the idea is that, you don't give up when times are rough. When you really love somebody, you work through the difficult times. But you got a lot of people who they have what they call irreconcilable differences. Yes, you have this whole idea of irreconcilable differences. And I mean, it's even in the court papers when you're filing a divorce. But the sad thing is when you realize that love is long suffering, this means that it's not about being irreconcilable. It's about reconciling. It's about long suffering it with each other. So with what I see with a lot of these modern day different types of relationships, but people not really identifying what type of relationship they have. They just say they trying to have a relationship. And what I also see with these modern day marriages is that a lot of people just aren't able to get through. They really don't have love for each other in those relationships per se, nor those marriages. They aren't truly unified. So it was quick for them to grow apart from you. They were never truly connected to you, because when you're really connected with somebody, you never feel this need of a disconnect. There may be some storms that show up, and some storms may be tougher than others. But usually after the storm has settled, you try to get back amongst each other. You try to see the sunshine once more. Sometimes it's just, and I think there has to be an anchor, because you can't just look at the storm. You have to look at it as a ship, because I've talked about relationships in terms of it being a ship. And I've said before, you got to stay focused on the cruise instead of the ship. You got to flow like water. So sometimes it's going to be a little rough, but you got to get through that. You got to get through that. You know what I'm saying? So in the midst of that, you got to have a strong sail as well as a strong anchor at times to where you can ride those waves. You need that sail to get you through the waves when you actually are moving, but you also need that anchor to hold you in place when y'all just stationary and you got to really go through a certain storm. But either way, someone has to be, or you two have to represent that anchor or that sail when you're in those type of choppy waters. See, that's the power of what true love embodies when you are truly connected with somebody. Otherwise, someone is weakening the vessel. Someone is weakening the vessel, and you could tell based on their threshold. They are weakening the vessel. This is key. So this makes me think that most people, when they view how they want to be connected with somebody, they don't see it as going through a storm. They see it more or less as a carousel. And of course, in these spaces, I've heard of the term carousel be used quite a bit. Of course, I'm saying it from a PG perspective, not a X-rated or explicit perspective. But nevertheless, a carousel is a carousel. You jump off one, you go on the other. You may not like this one carousel, you go to the other carousel. Or you may like that carousel, but I guess in many ways it takes away from the storm, because the carousel is just the same type of ride that you're used to, right? So you're not used to jumping on a ride that's kind of out the ordinary. That's kind of out of your comfort zone, if you will. The storm versus the carousel. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you really have love for somebody and you share that love with them, you know that love is supposed to endure. So that means there's going to be a sense of a storm and that you will have to endure. When it's a carousel, it's not about enduring no storm. It's just about more or less you having things your way. So you think about a lot of people that are around you. A lot of them just trying to have their way. That's all it really is when it's all said and done. But I want y'all to really think about a lot of this, because this to me really has been something that's been dear to my heart as far as me knowing when somebody loves me and if they love me and how they love me and why they love me. All of this makes sense, to know that they love me because they're willing to go through whatever to stay with me. And they know that I will do the same thing. And obviously this has nothing to do with me thinking this person will do harm to me. No, love is not about harm. Love does not hurt. So anything outside of blessings, if it's painful, it's not love. You two amongst each other supposed to be very nurturing and loving and caring, And I see there's a lack of that. Everybody's so quick to get out of things when things don't tend to go a certain way. It's sad that for modern day types of relations, because that's all I'm going to look at it as. I'm not going to look at it as really a true relationship or true love or true connections. I'm just going to say relations. You try to relate with somebody, but really you left because you can't really relate with that person. But a lot of people knew this off the bat, immediately from day one. But maybe they were trying to get some out of that person, some type of manipulation in some way, shape, or form. So really, when it's all said and done, the typical relation that I see here in the Western Hemisphere, especially in the United States, only lasts. It doesn't even last a year. You can't even get a year out of most people. Most people will leave you in less than a year. They'll leave you probably in half of that time. Because most people did not have love for you. They're used to the storms. They're not used. No, let me take that back. My bad. They're used to the carousel. They're not used to the storm. They're used to the carousel. So they're not really used to love. They don't really know what love is. They're just used to getting their way. They're just used to their idea of what love is. And when someone tries to tell them something different, or maybe tell them the purest definition and show them the purest definition of what love is, they want nothing to do with that because that's not the way they see things. See, having them know that there's some storms that come with true love that will be kind of out their way, out of their direction of the way they see things. You know what I'm saying? So most people have a very low IQ in regards to me and you, if that makes sense. Or you could tell someone that wants to leave you because were willing to be on the carousel instead of enduring a storm. You could just tell them that, hey, you have a low IQ about me and you. And there will be a part 2 to this, by the way. Yeah, I'll make a continuation. There's more I wanted to say.